It is time to continue our journey through what are we calling this? I can't ever remember. Is it Witching 101? The things of witchery basics, whatever you want to call it. We're continuing that journey today, and we're talking about a topic that we don't talk about a lot here at the Sisters Enchanted for no reason in particular. We do actually we do talk about it a little bit here and there in some of our classes, but it's not like a thing we really dive into, and I will tell you why when we get more into it. But the topic is numerology. So but yeah, it's a fascinating topic. There's some elements to it that are kind of like pull from ancient civilizations, and some that are more new, based on sort of people's just interpretations and their what's the word when like channeled messages. And it explores deeper meanings and vibrations though of numbers and their influence on our lives. So it's kind of like a patterned code. And when we dive into numerology, we can find insights about what we're experiencing or our journey. Each number 0 through 10 carries its own unique energy and significance. And when we start to put these numbers together is where we dive into bigger, different sorts of patterns and symbolism. But yeah, you can use numerology in a lot of ways. We're not going to talk about them all here today, but we're gonna dive into the topic overall, so you've got an idea about it if you've been curious. If the word witch makes you feel full of power and excitement, if you love personal development but loathe boring love and light conversation, if a sexy combo of witchery and inner work piques your interest, you're in the right place. Welcome home, Magic Maker, and welcome to Expedition to Soul, the podcast brought to you by the Sisters Enchanted. All right, let's talk about this. What I said in the beginning, the intro here, that we don't teach it a whole lot. And one of the reasons for that is because numerology is, I think, based on, it's a conglomerate of a lot of different pieces. So one piece of evidence around what a number means might be very different to one person, one culture than somebody else. Also, I do think that in my experience anyway, when it comes to numerology and folks asking questions over the years in our communities, there is a tendency to say, like, tell me exactly what this means, which can be true for astrology and tarot as well. I see it more so with numerology. And I think that with numerology, you really have to understand your connection to numbers. So, for example, this is not actually numerology, but it's related to numbers. My birthday is December 14th, and I will often see 12:14 on the clock. I'll see it when I'm driving. I just happen to go change the radio and it's 12:14, or I happen to turn on the oven and it's 12:14. And it happens like pretty frequently. Now, I might just notice it because it is my birthday, but it does happen. Now, that's not inherently numerology, but if somebody were to ask that question, what does this mean? And then they start digging into numerology, I would say that if it's your birthday, just don't even worry about the numerology and what the numbers mean. Just, it might be a little hello from your higher self, reminding you to check in with yourself, because it's a number of significance to you. So I think that there is a tendency when we see repeating numbers or we see patterns of numbers or the same number to want to know the numerology, when I don't think that's always what it's about. I think there just might be something else there. And then to dive into it that way. The other thing with numbers too is that they can look like things. So this is a personal story. For the last few years, I have seen the number 69. Some of you just got your heads in the gutter. Pull it out. But I've been seeing the number 69 like crazy. I mean, I will open so like I've got all my business finance accounts and then personal, and it is not uncommon for me to open all the accounts and in one day have a 69 like in the numbers in 4 or 5 of different areas. Or it happens with our just like enrollment numbers. We'll look at how many students are in something, and then there's a 69 in there. Or one day we were on a highway driving, and the car on left, right in front of us had it on their license plate. Now, this stuff has been happening to me for a couple of years now. And believe me, I've looked at all the angles around this. I've confided in one of my Akashic Records reading friends and my friend who's a medium. So I've looked at all the angles, but I think that part of it too, the number 69 also looks like a yin yang symbol, and it also looks on its side like the Cancer symbol, and I'm a Cancer rising. So I think that there's more to be said about it than the numbers. I think that the imagery of it is impactful too. So when it comes to numbers, remember all these different angles. I think we turn to the numerology when there's also a lot of layers that it could also be, which is why we don't prioritize teaching it, because I think it really is personal and you can learn the different numbers and what they mean. But when it comes to interpreting what it means for you, I think there's a lot to be looked at outside of just the numbers. All right, so let's just run through the numbers. The number 0 is representative of the void or potential. I think we can think of 0 and think nothing. But 0 is potential. It's a blank slate. Isn't that a beautiful way to consider 0? Also representative of the cosmic egg, which is that epitome of potential and possibility. So a starting point for you. 0 can also be a sign of guidance, protection, because it is this place of nothingness. It's a fertile ground for creativity and growth and development, right? Number 1, independence, new beginnings. So we can also look at these as they progress through tarot, astrology. But number 1, independence or new beginnings. So leadership, autonomy, initiative, taking action, stepping into your power. It is the number of creation because it's the number after 0. And it's the first step from which all other numbers are going to flow. Number 2, balance and partnerships. So duality, balance, relationships, cooperation, sensitivity, harmony, right there with the 2, being with yourself and with others. Number 3, creativity and expression, communication, the joy of living, abundance, expressing your feelings and your ideas. So it's a reminder to express your creative spirit and seek your truth. Now, again, this is just one way of looking at all of these numbers. Number 4, stability, foundations. We think about 1, 2, and 3, and you think of a stool, right? You can't really build a very solid stool on any of those. That's all creativity and birth and like what could come next. Once we get to 4, that's very stable. We've got 4, the 4 corners are built and we can put a foundation down. So just that stability, order, foundation, structure, discipline, hard work, building those solid foundations. 5 is change, freedom. We see that in tarot too, where the 5 is always the turning point. Adventure, dynamic, unpredictable sort of nature of life in the world that we live in. We can see that with 5. So it's an odd number. We think of that 4 structure with 1 in the middle, and that's the unpredictable. Where's it going to go? What's it going to do? What does it mean? 6 is an even number. We come back to harmony here. Balance, nurturing, a number of home, family, responsibility, but caring for others, creating harmony in your environment. Number 7, reflection, spirituality, 7 days of the week, the number of introspection, that's 7th day of the week, wisdom, quest for deeper understanding, spiritual awakening, really looking within. Number 8, power, abundance, the infinity symbol with number 8, success, material wealth, ambition, manifesting your desires into being, infinite possibilities with the number 8 there. Number 9, completion, humanitarianism. So 9 is completion. You might think 10 for that, but once we get to 10 is 2 digits. It can be made up to, added down to a 1. So 9 is actually that number of completion, the end of a cycle, the need for serving humanity and to embrace sort of the greater good. Where 1 is independent, 9 is the greater good. So we've made the journey from 1 to 9. 10 is a return. Ooh, I'm hitting my microphone. 10 is a return back to wholeness, a return to unity. And again, we have the 1 and the 0 together. So it's the fusion of being and non-being, where the 1 is that autonomy and the 0 is all potential creation. And this is where cycles start again. So it's a quick jaunt through 1 through 10. Of course, there are layers depending on who you're reading, what you're listening to. Different society or different cultural aspects might be brought in. Lots of folks channel their own information related to numerology and what numbers mean. With those basics in mind, you might hear about angel numbers. So angel numbers, that's another, it's not quite numerology. It's another sort of offshoot there. But angel numbers are repeated numbers. So 111, 333, 444, 555, etc., etc. And they are believed to be by some these divine messages from the universe. Some would say from angels, from God, and that these sequences can carry different meanings to them. So, for example, a 111 might signify a new beginning, where a 444 might signify that you are receiving this stable love from the universe, or stability is coming your way, right? And then we also have ascending sequences. Those are numbers in order: 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7. And those represent forward momentum, that there is, the ball is rolling, keep moving forward. Descending sequences, so backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, might suggest to slow down, pause, because you're moving backwards. So we can, this is where I was saying that numbers can just mean a lot. Like, they can really mean a lot of things. We've talked about, shared my personal experience around my birthday, around a number that also has various symbols that look like the number. We talked about numbers 1 through 10, really quick what they mean. We'll have a blog post to go with this too, so you can read those notes over on the blog. Angel numbers, these are these repeating numbers, and that they are thought to be different divine messages for us. Ascending sequence numbers, so like 2, 3, 4, you're moving in the right direction. Descending, you're moving backward, slow down. So when you see numbers repeatedly, whatever they are for you, I would just pause and pay attention and ask yourself some questions. So what are you thinking when you see the number, right? Because then it can be like an affirmation for you, or an answer, sort of an internal answer to a question you're asking. How does the number make you feel? It's interesting for me that I've seen that number 69 so often. And I'm a Cancer rising. Like, that's interesting for me to consider. And Cancer rules my husband's 7th house, which is contracts and marriage. So that, like, contractual relationships. So it's interesting to consider, what have I not been seeing? How can I internalize this a little bit more over the last few years? So how does the number make you feel? And you can also then ask, what does the number traditionally symbolize? If you're an astrology person, a tarot person, you could also look at the numbers for houses, or that's not traditional numerology whatsoever. So I just tell you that. And look at tarot numbers, also not totally traditional numerology. But you could look at those things and just see, like, what does this mean for me? And then, of course, as I said, with my birthday number. So are there numbers that are of personal significance just to you? And how do you utilize them in your numerology or in your just daily life? So if you wanted to, like, I love the number 4 as just a number that I would call like my lucky number, or it's, I don't know why I call it that, but if you were to say, Sarah, what's your favorite number, it would be the number 4. And so when I see the number 4, then if I see it in conjunction with a 6 or a 9 or something, I really stop and think, what was I just thinking? What was just happening for me? And just pay attention to what's going on there. So you can use these numbers in your mindfulness and your affirmations if you want to, but it's a varied topic with a lot of layers to it. It can be really simple, like knowing that even the number 3. So when I think of a 3, I think of tarot, and how, the three of any of the tarot suits, that you only have 2 hands, so you can't carry all 3 things. So what are you going to put down? 3 of Pentacles, we've got teamwork, which can be hard because somebody's not going to get what they want. And then in the 3 of Swords, that's the heartbreak card. So again, if you had like two people, or you were really attached to an idea or an outcome or an expectation, then the third thing is that it didn't happen that way, and now there's heartbreak. The Three of Wands, there's possibility, but you only have two hands. Again, there's that. The Three of Cups, there's three friends intertwined celebrating. But you know, what happens with threes and two people pair off and then one person's left alone? So with threes, I always get that sense of imbalance with a three, and what do I need to bring into balance? And so just asking yourself, what does it mean for you, I think is really helpful when it comes to numbers, and what's your point of reference. All right. Well, there's an overview on numerology for you. Make sure to go back and listen to the other episodes in this series, because we've gone through lots of like basics to, if you're witchy curious, or you've been curious about any of these topics, to kind of understand what you might want to dive more into, or maybe you're like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, but that's probably all I need to know. Now you know. All right. Well, that's it. If you are not part of our Heal Like a Witch free audio class, I encourage you to register for that. It is free. You can get in there and enjoy the goods, where you'll learn about using tools like tarot and the moon and the chakras, which is a perfect accompaniment. I just can't say that word. A perfect side dish to this main course I just gave you. That's such a weird thing to say. All right, check it out. Thank you for hanging out with me. And until next time, I hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day ahead, where I think everybody should take it, because it will, if you're a self-aware person now, you will know yourself inside and out by the time you're done with it. You will know yourself inside out, sideways, upside down, every nook and cranny. And one of the things I see in the metaphysical world is people Googling their birth charts, pulling tarot cards like 4 times a day, every day, and not feeling different in life. And it's because those tools become a tool for escapism and not a tool for growth. And we want you to know thyself, and we want you to feel like, no matter the circumstance, that feeling alive is a possibility for you, and feeling like you can feel the magic coursing through your blood, and that you know that you have some agency in every situation is available to you. We want you to do that. Patty's asking, what if you've already completed it? Patty, you just joined again. So Anna will usually post or send out emails to let you know what's going on. And Holistic Witchery is just once you're in, that you can do it over and over. And it's one of those things where you are a different person every time you go through it. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, I think there's this idea that once we've like fixed a problem in our life, the problem goes away. The problems don't go away. They come back in new and exciting ways. I've been very, very broke. Like I've been so broke, like ramen noodles for dinner every day of the week, poor. And I had lots of, money problems then. And now, as a person who has a business, and we've got a big team here, a lot of people behind the scenes that you don't even see. And like, I'm able to support my family, and that's all well and good. But the energy of feeling like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with today to solve this problem doesn't go away. It's just the problems now are very expensive tax problems, or they're very expensive contractor bills that have to be taken care of, or like marketing expenditures and things like that. And the feeling is not different. That's the thing. The feeling isn't different. The feeling of not being able to buy food at the grocery store is not different than the feeling of feeling like I'm not going to be able to pay a tax bill. The feeling is not different. And that's the feeling that lives in your energy. So every time you take Holistic Witchery and you grow in your life, or something expands, things will happen that give you it'll be a different thing, same feeling. So then you're able to use the things in Holistic Witchery, and the 5-eye spiral and conjuring abundance, all of the tools that you have in astrology, to then look at, I have the same feeling I had before in a new and exciting circumstance. And how do I work through this next level, and addressing the feeling that the feelings don't go away. They live in your energy forever, and they come out with new circumstances. So Holistic Witchery, you do again and again and again, because you're a different person every time you do it. And we've had people go through it. We've been doing Holistic Witchery for 5 years, and we've had people who've done it for at least once a year, all of 5 years. So Definitely check it out. If it's been on your interest list, let us know if you want information. We'll get it to you. If you love the podcast, be sure to leave us a rating or a review. That helps us to get the word out about all we're doing here at the Sisters Enchanted. Thanks for being part of our community, and we'll see you in the next episode.